Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. This is your host, Jennings Smith. Guys, I'm not alone today. I've got a guest in the studio, Mr. Jonathan Tuttle. He sent me an email a couple weeks back, or his team did, seeing if they could be a guest on the show. I usually ignore that, but this one caught my attention because he is doing flex warehouse development plays with Office. And I'm in the midst of doing that. I've got a piece of land under contract. And so I thought, let's have this guy on the show. He's got more experience than I do, see what's going on. So Jonathan, man, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here. It's kind of cool. It's kind of unusual to find somebody else in the flex space. It's not as common as like multifamily per se.
Well, and my main portfolio is multifamily. I've got some self-storage and some commercial assets, but I went to a meetup that we were hosting with my real estate group, and there was a guy there that was doing this flex space in Ohio and talking about how he was doing it. The interesting thing about what he's doing is he's condoing them off and selling them as individual bays, which I thought was intriguing.
Yeah.
And so we got to talking, working through some things over the next few weeks and months. And now we've got a piece of land under contract and working on our own right here in the Charleston area. But tell me about yourself. What is your story? Looks like you've been doing this
Sure.
fund since like 2020, 2021. Is that right?
Yeah, I was doing more mobile home parks then. So like my majority of my background, my dad was a developer, general contractor, so he built 75 custom homes, had 2 real estate brokerage offices. So I've always grown up on the real estate side, transitioned to brokering, ended up being like head of 2 different brokerages, including the national for Yale Realty, which is the biggest mobile home park brokerage, biggest team. And then basically segued over to investment side of it. And I just spoke at IMN Nashville like 2 weeks ago, the mobile home park conference, private equity conference on stage. And if the sentiment is anybody's been in the space, they're in other asset class now because the supply is very limited and the deal flow is very limited. And flex space and my development background just made the most sense. Right now it's undersupplied. It reminds me of like 10 years ago, mobile home park / self-storage. And you're also doing the same space, so you're familiar with that as well.
So you're seeing this as more of a blue ocean space. And are you doing it like ground up development, or are you purchasing and subdividing?
Yeah.
What's your model?
Yeah, so we're 90% warehouse, 10% office. We're doing just basically kind of like what you alluded to. We're going to actually condoize and sell off individual. We're doing our model is basically build under 12,000 square feet because that's the national sprinkler system. And then if people aren't familiar with the sprinkler system, it's not really necessarily the cost to put it in, maybe 30, 40, 50K. It's the fact that you have to drill in certain municipalities, it could cost $200,000 or $300,000 just to drill into the water main. And so getting up past that, keeping the cost low. We're looking for just really high growth markets. Right now, we're strictly focused on in and around Austin, specifically New Braunfels. We're on I-35. So like, for example, the property we're developing this one, we have other projects, but it's the center of like all the development. So Costco's going in September. They're starting to develop right next door in a couple weeks here. There's 10,000 homes being built across the streets and 3,500 commercial acres. And then the state of Texas is putting in $3.5 billion to widen the road that we sit directly in front of. So the frontage. So we look for high growth markets where like, even like if we flip the property, I was just talking to my partner right before this, the property is probably worth 2.5 times what we paid for it. It's insane. So we technically could flip it but the development, phase it out development, kind of what you alluded to before, is what makes us most excited. Just because it's like a prime property.
I think that's an interesting thing that people need to hear. The land is worth 2.5 times what you paid. Now, is that because just the land has gone up, or it's because of the entitlement work that you've done?
Both. We bought it right before the market, so we bought it $575 a foot. Market's 12 plus. And there's right down the street. They're going for like 14, 15 now. We just talked to a leasing broker or a couple of different brokers besides ours, and they're like, you could probably push closer to 15 if you sold the land with entitlement. So yeah, it was just basically good timing. Give you a little backstory. One of our partners has done $100 million in exits in that local market. He actually flipped adjacent to Tesla Gigafactory, 162 acres previously. And so he's got boots in the ground, relationships with brokers, the local owners, kind of wheeling and dealing with the land deals out there. So just having that relationships with all the right people, get access to deal flow faster and better deal flow.
We're talking about your new Braunfels site. Is that right?
Correct. Yep, correct.
And how many acres is that?
Oh man, I think it's just under 3. Just
Okay,
under
so
3.
3 acre site, and how many units do you think that will yield?
We're going to do 6 or 7, depending because we're going to do 3 phases, and depending on the market demand, as we build out 3 phases, probably 7 to 12,000 square feet
Okay.
each.
Okay. And that
We'll have one, and we might do the last one where we might do like a little more outdoor area for outdoor storage. So we're just going to see how the market plays out in the last one.
Okay, so will it be like
phase.
one building with 7 to 12,000 feet, or will it be multiple buildings?
No, just separate. Right next to each other. Yeah, 7 separate buildings with parking, 20, 30 spots for each one.
Okay, so 7 to 12,000 square foot buildings.
Yes, correct. But the last one, depending because it's the third phase, we might pivot to depending what the market needs at that point because it's or what the tenant needs. We could actually do like an outdoor storage or like a little bit of storage component to it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good density. 50 to 70,000 square feet on 3 acres. Our parcel's 4.5 acres, but we had to put a buffer zone around it, and we have to have retention pond, and so we're able to yield maybe 38,000 square feet out of our property. But we got the land pretty cheap. Yeah. I mean, we got it for 360,000, which I felt like was a great deal for 4.5 acres. But now, did you have to rezone your land?
No. Actually, here's a little story. It's kind of funny, but when we were in negotiation, so we found out the only asset you couldn't, because it's actually like a mega boomtown right now. If people don't know, New Braunfels has got significant growth right now, and that it's the fastest growing or second fastest growing county in the entire United States. And so they're all adamant, like even just the process of getting everything approved is 3 or 4 months compared to other parts of Texas, which could be longer. So they're pro growth because they're seeing a trajectory of people moving from Austin up where they get better value and people from San Antonio moving down. So that's kind of like it's directly in between both of those people's context. And so it's a mega boom town right now. And so the cities are really working to they see the opportunity and they're embracing it basically. So like you always want to, that's one of our rules going forward is like, we want to work with only municipalities that want to work with us. We don't want to wait 12 months approvals. And, like one of our partners had a deal, which it's going to be a significant deal. He's going to make significant money, but it took 6 years to get approval for like a retail building, retail with a little bit of medical office. But the property is worth about $6 or $7 million now because of like all the things he had to go through, and it's a high growth market. That our partner Harry, but going forward, we want to work with municipalities because it's flex space. The whole value of flex space, it's prefabricated metal base. It's a very fast build. It's a very fast lease out once you have the right markets. And so we're trying to take advantage of that. That's the moat because it's not like a mobile home park where it's like zoning or not in this state. The moat is speed to execution, speed to market, basically.
Gotcha. And I tend to agree with you. Pushing a rock uphill is not where you want to go. And that was one of in my site selection. It was like, does it already have water? Does it already have sewer? Does it already have the zoning that I need? I pre-met with the county. Do they want to see this type of thing here? Can I develop it by right, or do I have to convince county council to let me do it? And those were a lot of the things that I was thinking about, whether or not I wanted to put this piece of property under contract. So I agree. It's like, you want to go in a good market, and obviously good markets are usually harder to work with, but you can find these pockets where they're capitalizing on the growth, and you can kind of ride that wave. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, that just makes a lot. We don't want headaches. And another beauty about flex space is not much headaches.
So you say this is a really, really fast lease up. So you must believe there is a lot of demand. Who is your avatar buyer, and why do you feel like there is a lot of demand for this?
Sure. And so with the boomtown and 10,000 homes being built across the street, and all the national commercial retailers coming in, Costco, Topgolf, so many big national retailers and commercial development. Well, the HVAC plumbing that wants to have a second or third location, they want to service those 10,000 homes instead of coming from Austin or coming from San Antonio. They're going to want a location in New Braunfels. And right now in our market, there's only 3 other comps, and they're not even AC'd. So our products can be AC, a premium product, low ceiling heights, and like one of the units, like one of the competitors, there's like trash in front of it and like gravel road, and they're still getting like 18. I forgot what it was per foot, but I think like 18. And it's like there's a shortage. And obviously, if you talk to contractors, there's like that's the biggest issue they always come up with is they want to be in the local location, but it's always hard to find. Like whatever potentially new investors, we just had a call with them a couple of days ago. He's like, I get it. That's why I like this, like what you guys are doing, because I own, it was like 4 or 5 locations, cleaning company. And he's like, I'm trying to find the way you're doing as a building, but in a different state. So.
And so when you say $18 a foot, you're talking about per square foot per year, triple net lease. Is that how you structure your leases?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and that's the competitor. Yeah, exactly.
If you're not familiar with that, you multiply 7,000 square feet by $18 divided by 12. That's their monthly lease payment. But then they also have to pay their taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs. Usually the landlord is on the hook for the structure, the roof, and the HVAC probably. So yeah, exactly. I mean, that actually is very similar to the Charleston market. That's what, warehouse space is getting around here is about $18 a foot. So what is it costing you to build one of these?
The all-in cost, and I know we've been working around numbers, and it's going to change based if the interest rates. We just had a call. We were talking to my partner, and if the interest rates change, which there's kind of speculation, we don't know what the Fed's going to do, obviously, but that could make a drastic difference in the numbers. But we're going to be all in around, I think, $15.5 million through the phases. So.
Okay, so 15.4. And that's building out 7 buildings of 7,000 to 12,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And then when they're all leased up and stabilized, will you then sell it? Will you refinance it? Will you hold it? What are you going to do?
2-year. The initial plan is is to sell back, like what you guys mentioned. Sell back, condoize it, and then sell it back, particularly to the tenant that's staying there. That's the play that we think was going to be the most advantageous for us. So the local HVAC plumber that just wants to own a piece of real estate, plus they get the SBA loans and everything for it right now.
Okay, so you want to sell it to the end user.
Correct. Yep.
So will you so you're not going to lease them up at all, right? You're just going to sell them.
No, we'll still lease it up. We'll still lease it up. Lease it up first. So like we already have the sign just went up about 2 weeks ago, and we're already basically pre-leasing it. The develop doesn't start for another like month and a half. We're going to lease up first and then exit out to give them the option at the 2-year mark to acquire it. Basically.
Okay, so that's the model. The HVAC guy comes in, he's like, he rents for 2 years, and then he has the option to buy it if he wants, or he can keep renting, or he has to move out.
No, exactly. He keep renting.
Okay. And so the exit price, like, where do you think you're going to fall in selling off these 7 buildings?
Man, it's all contingent on the interest rates. I mean, it could be pretty substantial. I mean, conservatively, I don't want to say it because then the SEC is going to be like, oh, you quoted this. But it's pretty substantial. I mean, I don't know what the interest rates, but I'll just give you an example of what we're telling investors. So conservatively, we say 22 IRR conservatively, but like our real numbers, I don't want to say it out loud, but a lot higher than that. 22 IRR is like kind of what we're shooting for. Like that's the conservative numbers. So
and is that the deal level IRR or?
Yeah, the deal. That's the investor level.
Oh, that's the investor level IRR. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So because it all depends on obviously the contingent on the interest rates and how we develop out the third phase. That's the biggest thing, but it could be pretty substantial. Like because there was obviously that's what incentivize it because we could also flip the land right now without doing any work. And I mean, just entitle it and over the next, flip it off or sell it off over the next year. But the big play is to, lease it up and sell it, individually condoize and sell it out.
And what are you into the land for?
Man,
Sorry, I'm
I know we got
I like the
I
deal.
know. I don't know offhand because I wasn't part of the negotiation. I know it was like $575 a foot. That's all I know. But I don't remember what the exact total. And then here's a little story behind it. We did get, I think, I don't know the exact number, but I know we got about a $250,000 or $300,000 discount because we renegotiated with the owner. The only thing that you couldn't build on it was a shukla. And so we went back to him, like, not that we were going to do that as a tenant, but we went back to him like, well, that lowers the amount of tenants we could have. And he's like, oh, here's $250,000 off.
Oh, nice.
Crazy.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, an acre is 40,000. That's 120,000 square feet. So you're 6-7 million into the land. Is that fair?
I think that's a little high, honestly. I forgot. That's not that. It's
no. Sorry. 600 or 700,000.
I think it's 1.8 million.
I added a zero.
Yeah.
40,000 times 3 times 5.75. Yeah, that's 700 grand. 690. Okay, so you could flip it for maybe.
I don't know about the property, but yeah.
Yeah, you could flip it for maybe 1.4 to 2 million is what you're thinking.
2 million.
So there's
closer to 2. Yeah.
And I've thought about that too with my piece of property. Just like if I go through this entitlement, get a concept plan, get the sewer and water letters and the wetlands, and here's the topographical survey and the geotechnical studies, and I get all that done so that somebody knows exactly what they can build and what it'll cost, and they can start right away. It's valuable, to a developer, because most of the, usually you're not into your project for more than 10-15% of your whole project as far as being into the land costs. And so it's not a significant piece of the deal. So if you're in for 5 or 6% and you sell it to the next guy and he's in for 15, his deal still works, even though he's paying you 2 to 3 times what you paid necessarily for the land.
Exactly. Yeah. And he gets to expedite everything. If he wants to build right away, everything's ready to go.
I'm curious about something. What's the motivation for leasing them out? Like if I'm an HVAC guy, why lease it to me instead of just letting me just buy the building day one? Why do you want to lease to me for 2 years and then I buy?
That's kind of like, we just figure that's going to be the best avenue to kind of make sure we got the quality tenants in there and pre-qualify them basically. But it also, we could do that, and we've considered it, but we just think the leasing broker kind of advised us that it's better. Well, maybe because he's incentivized more, but he said that's probably a better go-to-market strategy. So he's like the top industrial warehouse guy on the market, and that's kind of like we always like to listen to our team members and see what they think is the best. And the numbers came out better for us. I don't know exactly how the difference was, but I just know it came out a little bit better for us.
I mean, I kind of like it because it gives you breathing room, right? You get a tenant in there, they start paying rent. It's probably easier to get a tenant than to sell this building for whatever it's going to be, 2-3 million. I mean, so if you've got 7 units, I assume you need to be in the $20 to $30 million range for this deal to be hitting those numbers. So,
we think 35. Yeah, I think that's your point. Yeah, we think we could probably exit around 35 if the interest rates is a very, very high end of the deal. Yep.
Gotcha. So 30 to 35. So
depending on interest rates,
30 divided by 7 properties is, you're trying to sell them for $4.3 million per 7,000 square foot unit. So yeah, I mean, that's great. If you, and it also, I think it gives the bank probably more comfort of like, oh, they've already got their location here. They're settled here. They've been paying rent for 2 years. Their mortgage payment's going to be about the same as they were paying in rent, maybe a little more, but yes, we'll do this loan. That's probably a lot easier for the bank to do.
Yeah.
Which is going to help you exit.
Exactly.
Okay. So your target people are small businesses, mid-sized businesses that are capitalizing on the growth in New Braunfels. pre-leasing, like how are you doing that? Like how are you've got a broker that's marketing all this stuff for you?
Yeah, look, see, we just put up the signage, or he put up the signage on I-35. So that's 130, 140,000 vehicles per day go by there. And so they're already getting calls. And with all the local press and the local media has been really covering just all the development. And so the good thing is if you looked at our comps, there's only three other comparables and they're already fully leased out. And so with this mega new growth, it's just first movers advantage is like the plus location. We probably have the most center location. We luckily even like we have our top broker, but the competitor broker is like, how did you get that deal? It just became like the center of like the development, which is we got really lucky basically. It's not luck,
Yeah.
but it had just happens that everything is just happening front, behind us, and across from us. So yeah, so
I mean, that's the first person that people, or the first thing people always ask is, how did you find the deal? So can you kind of dig into that? Like, how did you find
sure.
the 3 acres for 690, and you're like, hey, this is a great deal. How did it come apart or come upon you?
It comes back to Harry, like the partner Harry, who's been doing he's the same guy that flipped a property adjacent to the land adjacent to Tesla. He's just been really working the market, boots in the ground, full cycle $100 million deal. So he literally, if people have deals, everyone knows them in town and the area is like, hey, let's just take care of this deal. And then they do like the handshake deal and just having those relationships because even though it's a mega growth boomtown, it's kind of like what I like to relate to like the mobile home park scene, like the guys or the old school guys, like they want the people that've been there and they don't like the new guys coming in that they don't know basically. And so just having those long-term boots in the ground with relationships with everyone knowing you're doing the deals, that's how you get access to deal flow than the average person one.
And I say that too. People don't like it because they want this like formula, like, well, what website do I go to? And what,
Right.
and it's convoluted how you find these things sometimes. I mean, like the piece of land, I'm looking on the GIS. I look at a suitable piece of land. I see, I know the owner. Like he lives actually in my neighborhood. I call him. He says, I don't want to sell that, but I got this other property over here. Go check that out. I'll sell that for 200,000 an acre. I went and looked at that. And next to it, there was this little red residential sign stuck back in the woods. And I call that broker and he's got his listed for 385. So, less than half of what the other guy wants. But it's not listed in the proper channels. It's not on Crexy or any of the commercial websites.
You got to be boots in the ground.
Right. And so I just kind of stumbled upon this piece of land and, there's no formula for that, but it was just like I just kind of took action and beat the bushes and something evolved.
Yeah, 100%. And just that's the pro tip. You just got to take action. Like when I did the brokerage side, we would literally drive, rent a car. We would rent an old school, like basic Honda Civic. Not like we'd say, hey, my grandma's moving in, how's this park? And then we introduce ourselves to like the residents. We'd go and handshake with the property manager and just hopefully see the owner there. Like, oh, by the way, if you guys are considering, we'll do this off market for you. So we literally would drive from 8:00 in the morning to 6 at night. And then if we had any owners that, hey, want to have more conversation, we take them out to like the local steakhouse. And so real estate, especially commercial real estate, same thing with the broker is you want to be friendly the local brokers and be like, hey, we can do this off market. And then they'll push you through it too. Like, so you become friends with a local broker and it's somebody they've never heard of calling from another state, but you're like, hey, like let's do some deals together. And I'll make you the go-to. And then maybe you could even do the sales side of it. They're going to push your offer through when they're presenting 2 or 3 offers to the owner because they know they can get more on the back end.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. And we see that in multifamily. It's like, hey, they'll bring you something before they list it because now they can get both halves of the commission. They don't have to split it with another broker. Why would they not go to you first? Okay.
Exactly.
One, I'm glad I had you on the podcast and we're not over yet, but I just wanted to say that's a new idea for me, like that thought of leasing it up and then giving them the option to buy, because it sort of gives them a little bit of safety and security of like, okay, I can try out this location, make sure I like it, make sure it works for my business. Then I can commit to the sale. Because what we're doing is essentially 1,100 square foot bays, so smaller flex bays with a bathroom and then office, and we're selling each
Mm-hmm.
bay for 250 to 300,000, kind of depending on where the market is.
Right.
And we're going to be all in for, similar 4.2, and we hope we can sell it for 8.5. So, trying to double the money on the exit. But it's, the numbers are great, right? It's like, if you could buy a apartment complex for 4.2 and you could sell it for 8.5 2 or 3 years later, everybody be doing it. So
All
the
day.
difference
Yeah.
is, right, the risk level of this. I mean, you're talking about taking down raw land. You could be hitting roadblocks. There's soil qualities, there's mega construction costs, there's no money coming in, right? There's no existing revenue for a long time, because not only do you
Right.
have to get all the permits and entitlements and build it, you also got to fill it up and sell it, which is also an unknown. Like, are people going to
Right.
rent these things? Are they going to buy these things? So what do you tell to investors who are like, yeah, I mean, the numbers look great, the spreadsheet looks great. If you can sell these for $4 million a piece, you're going to make a bucket of money. But there's a lot more risk in this deal than there is on buying a stabilized multifamily that's got a little bit of operational value add.
Yeah, and that's what people. So just for context, our typical investor is other sophisticated real estate investors that usually own other asset classes. So they like that. So they're actually kind of versed on the whole niche. The typical just accredited investor, they're kind of like, okay, I kind of get it, but our main investors are all like multifamily operators, self storage, other asset classes, and they're like, we want to grow with you guys. They like the numbers, and we understand the market, and you guys have everything like lined up in the team to the process of it. But yeah, to your point, yeah. So the biggest thing is the money is in development. We have just had a call with my partner Alec right before this, and we were. I was like, because my dad was a general contractor, and I was like, I saw that he first started out fix and flips. And then he got his brokerage, had 2 to 3 real estate brokerage at any time. And then the real money of bulk of his wealth came from developed GCing single family houses. Not like uber luxury, from like 200,000 to like 600 to 700,000 range. 80s, 90s, mainly in the 90s was a development boom. But that's the biggest return typically is going to be, yes, you have to wait a little bit longer for cash flow, but the returns are usually highest in development. And the good thing about this, if people are understanding flex space, it's not a real complex build because it's 90% a warehouse with 18-foot ceilings. Like, it's not like we're not putting in custom flooring. I mean, the flooring's there, but you're not like sitting in like a single family house where you have to like, oh, we want this, and this, and there's like some complicated build out when it's 90% open warehouse, some HVAC, and then 10% office space. And so that's the way I tell people how we're building it too. Like I mentioned, we're not doing the sprinkler system. We're doing under the 12,000 square foot for that. And it's very minimalistic build because it comes prefabricated metal. So it's not like, it's not like this long construction process, with compared to other developments. And so that's the speed to it. Like we're telling investors is 24-month exit once we start. So compared to multifamily, 4 or 5 years.
Who's building the buildings? Is it like a prefab metal company that's putting up the shell?
Yeah, it comes prefab, exactly. And then we have a local developer that's developed a lot of the Walmarts and self-storage in the area. So yeah, we partnered up with a person, and it comes prefabricated metal. Like, the whole process could be up 5 to 6 months, like everything fully leased out if everything's hitting the right timelines.
Gotcha.
I mean, technically it'd be 1 month to get the outside, but then the inside and everything else fully customized and everything. So at least out.
Yeah. And who's giving you your data on your like lease up period?
That's the leasing broker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we reached out to a couple. I'm sorry, you cut out. What's that?
I said they think it'll lease up pretty fast. Huh? I mean, that's a pretty short timeline to lease.
Yeah, they were getting calls. And we just got picked up by a local major press, and it was the headline story. It's like 17 million warehouse office coming to brothels. I was like the main pitcher. So I had a couple calls and people trying to sell us whatever service. Hey, want to get your security cameras in there? And so, just the local press. And the signage is key because there's, like I said, alluded to, it's like 130, 140,000 vehicles are driving by it on right while this development's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. That's amazing. So how are you structuring the deal? Like, what's in it for investors? Is it like a pref with equity? Are you taking on debt? Like, how are you structuring the deal?
Yeah, so it's going to be like right now, and so we're incentivized for people. We're giving a little more. Is if anybody's familiar, that's obviously usually a 7 to 10 pref is typical. I mean, usually if it's a 10 pref, it's usually like $1 million or $2 million, like usually a significant amount of money. We're doing a 12 pref, and the main reason we're doing the 12 pref is we're looking for people because we already have another 100,000 square foot retail deal. That was the one I mentioned. Harry had like $6.5 million equity, so we're rolling that equity in. And so we were looking for people to partner up with us for more projects we're going to be doing. We're looking at data centers long term. I didn't mention this, but pretty significant deals. But 22 IRR, 12 pref, even if it's 50,000 minimum, but technically we're only taking people. Everyone's invested 250 or higher. So that's kind of like we're looking for partners in that range. And then an 80-20 split. So we're doing everything super advantageous to the investor. Compared to like what's out in the market. And right now, if anybody's familiar, it's a different,
Is it
because I go to some of the different
80 LP,
80 to
20
the
GP? Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really
Yeah.
attractive.
I know. It's crazy. I know. Like when we came up with that, I was like, okay, let's do it. So we're highly incentivized to get the full cycle. That's where we'll make our money mainly. Investors are very highly focused. And that kind of goes back to your point. Like they see that and the sophisticated investors like you guys are really incentivized in the back end. So they like that component of as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really aggressive split to the investor. But I guess, if you make 15 million, you're hoping to make, I guess, 20 million. That's 4 million to you guys. And,
yeah, the
and
bulk of the money comes in the
have,
back end for us.
so you're taking on debt, right? You're working with a bank, and then this is your equity piece.
Yeah.
How much equity are you raising for the deal?
4.5, I think right now. We were looking at maybe 5, but I think we're going to stick with 4.5.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, yeah, you're doing a deal that's about three times as big as mine. Essentially, I'm looking at 1.2 million equity, and about a $4.2 million project, and you're like 15. So cool. Yeah, I'm trying to just crawl before I run, but.
Yeah, I mean, just get your first deal. Like my partner Alec, he's done a few of these, and so he just kind of gradually gets bigger. So it's kind of how it goes.
And where are you at in the process? Like, are you under contract? Have you actually closed the land? Like, where are you at with the process?
Under contract, not closed the land. It's we're still finalizing the raise. We've got a couple people. We're trying to wrap up the raise, the initial tranche to secure the land in the next 2 weeks. This is September 11th. By the time you guys, September 11th. I didn't know it was that day today, or is it September 11th?
Yeah,
it is.
September.
You didn't even know. Yeah, it's a big day in American history. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so it's under contract, and closing. I think we just talked to my partner. I think we're extending it. I forgot exactly when because I just talked to them and just didn't remember. But we hope to have the everything starting in the next 6 weeks, basically. So the only thing the issue we've had right now is finalizing the last couple of investors. We have a couple of investors they've already done they do the syndication paperwork and then they're like, oh, I'm waiting on to send the money. I'm like, are you going to go or not? Because we got to move you out with somebody else. And so, you know how that goes. And so we're like, here's a definitive timeline. Here's where we're going to do that. And this is what we need. So.
And then how far, have you already gotten your land disturbance permit? I mean, how far are you away from actually breaking ground and starting?
6. Yeah, we could go right away. I think I think it's 6 weeks out from everything. I think everything is just at the very finalized.
Wow. So
Alex and Alex, we've been working on this for a while. Yeah, so we got it under contract. Man, I forget when February or March.
Okay. Okay, so you had a pretty
So
long DD period, close period, but that's
yeah,
typical in
and
land.
then
Really not that
SEC
long for
paperwork
land.
and the SEC paperwork and how lawyers take. Oh, it'll be done in 4 weeks, and that took
Yeah.
9 weeks.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so I assume at the closing of the land, you've got to have all the cash because that's when the bank loan's kicking in for the
Yep,
development. So you got to have your full
yep.
raise. Yep. Um, okay, well, awesome, man. Well, that's exciting. So how do people connect with you further to learn about Land Play, Flex Development Fund, and connect with you?
Sure. Sure, yeah. Jonathan Tuttle, number one on LinkedIn if you want to do a little research, and then land-play. So land-play. And our new website actually goes live either at the end of the day, it depends on when it propagates, but it looks really nice. So land-play, and then you can request an OM. So, and we have some other really cool developments, like I alluded to. A lot of cool stuff in the pipeline just because it goes back to my partner having a lot of deal flow in the markets, in the local
So
market.
land-play.com or Jonathan
Yeah, it
Tuttle
comes up when you want to
or
Google too. Yeah,
yeah, gotcha.
and
Well, hey,
LinkedIn.
Jonathan, I appreciate you hanging out with us. Sounds like an exciting deal in New Braunfels. If you want to go to land-play.com, you can check out the other projects he's working on. But appreciate you being here, and I learned a lot. Very, very intriguing concept, flex warehouse, and I do think that it is a good opportunity right now. I mean, there's a lot of 150,000 to million square foot industrial space out there. I know the Charleston
Right.
market has like a 2 to 3 year oversupply right now of that stuff. But there's not a whole lot between 1,000 to 5,000 to 7,000 square feet that is available. And if you need that space, you need it to make your business work.
Exactly. And we think our tenants, to your point, is around 3,000 to 4,000. So it's exactly where same thesis we have. So
Gotcha. All right. Well, have a great week. And guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Reach out to Jonathan if you're interested in that. And we'll see you next time.
thank you.